Yet their legacy lingers in the portraits, the halls, and perhaps in the unseen presences that still walk here. The hauntings of Malahide Castle feel like its conscience, a reminder that in Ireland the past never truly leaves us. For nearly 8 centuries, this castle belonged to one family, the Talbots, a colonizing force of Norman descent. Their story is carved into these stones of Malahide Castle in North County Dublin. But it is not just one of power and nobility, it's a legacy written in blood. Today, we're not only exploring ghost stories, we're uncovering the dark history and colonial past that fuel the hauntings of Ireland's infamous Malahide Castle. Just north of Dublin City stands Malahide Castle, definitely an impressive place with an impressive gardens and acres of land. One of Ireland's oldest and most storied strongholds. Its tales begin during the Norman invasion of Ireland around 1185, when a knight named Sir Richard Talbot was granted the lands and harbour of Malahide by King Henry II for his loyal servants. This place actually was the location of a Gaelic stronghold before the Talbots came. We learned this from the tour guide at Malahide Castle. So what began as a wooden fortress built by the Talbots became a stone castle we see today, the beating heart of the Talbot dynasty. Of course, the castle, as you can see today, that has been rebuilt over the years. But in this black room with these carvings, this is one of the original parts of the castle, the main original part of the castle, the old Tower House. For nearly 800 years, the Talbots held this estate, surviving wars, invasions, and political upheaval, a rare feat in Irish history. Their tenure was briefly broken during the Cromwellian conquest of Ireland in the 17th century, when the castle was seized and given to the England regicide named Miles Corbett, basically one of the signatories for the killing of King Charles I of England. When the monarchy was restored in 1660, the Talbots regained their ancestral home. Generations later came one of the family's darkest legends. On the morning of the Battle of the Boyne in 1690, fought in Ireland, 14 Talbots are said to have shared breakfast in the Great Hall. By nightfall, only one remained alive. This story speaks to a family shaped by conflict and loss, and as well, we're going to get into the sadness, the tragedy, and also the mysteries of this castle. So it's no wonder Malahide is called one of the most haunted castles in Ireland, with at least 5 spirits said to walk its halls and the lands around the castle. The remnants of love, betrayal, and bloodshed echoing through this ancient castle, building, and lands. The court jester Puck, who was a dwarf by all accounts, and according to the castle legend and local legend, he is the most famous ghost of Malahide, known as Puck. And in the 16th century, during the reign of Henry VIII, Puck served as both court jester and watchman to the Talbots. He was living in this turret, and you can see his door here, which is, obviously a bit smaller. He was said to have fallen in love with a noblewoman held at the castle, Lady Eleanora Fitzgerald, imprisoned for her family's rebellious ties. The details of Puck's fate vary. Some stories say he took his own life after being forbidden to see her, an unrequited love. And I find with a lot of these tales of ghosts and stuff like that, it's always, or not always, but a lot of the time, you would see this love, this tragic love, or this tragic tale, and this, leading to hauntings. Others claimed he was murdered, and actually the tour guide did say he committed suicide, and I believe it maybe have been in this hall, because someone was asking about where he used the rope, etc. But some claim he was murdered, found on a snowy December night, stabbed through the heart while still wearing his Jester's costume. Apparently with his dying breath, legend says he vowed to haunt Malahide Castle until a Talbot master took a bride from among the common folk, but swore never to harm a male Talbot who slept under its roof. And apparently sometimes women especially can feel being touched in their hair, etc. like this, and this was corroborated by a tour guide. And today staff and visitors tell tales of mischief, objects moving on their own cold spots, and whispers from the minstrel's gallery, which is where the band used to play up above there. Some claim to have caught a bearded face in photos said to be Puck, still keeping his lonely vigil. From the tragic Jester in the tower, we move to the Great Hall, a room that has witnessed feast, farewells, and the doomed love of a bride whose ghost still walks these corridors. Actually, I'm showing the Great Hall already. This is actually where the Great Hall, where he used to come out and entertain the guests. So this is about the enduring legend of Maud Plunkett, a noblewoman whose life became a Gothic tragedy. She was to marry young Lord Galtrim, Sir Walter Hussey, in 1429, but on their wedding day, tragedy struck. Some say he was killed on his way to the ceremony. Others claim they married that morning and that he was slain later the same day in a nearby skirmish by one of his rivals. His ghost is said to roam the castle, clutching his wound and crying out for his lost love. Yet Maud's story darkened further. Not long after Walter's death, she married his rival, the very man suspected of killing him. And during this relationship, the legend claims that Maud grew bitter and possessive, chasing her husband around the castle in jealous rages. Even in death, these spirits are said to relive these furious arguments, doors slamming and angry voices echoing through these empty rooms. So you have this whole malarkey between these three ghosts. Again, a kind of love interest and jealousy, betrayal, etc. These legends are woven into the very fabric of this castle and its lands, a place where the past refuses to stay buried. If you're fascinated by Ireland's haunted history as I am, make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss the next journey into the shadows of our past and into Irish history, mythology and folklore. If you never want to miss a premiere or a live stream, etc., you can sign up to my mailing list, linked in the description. And also there are ways to support the mission by joining the YouTube membership, which is $1.99 a month, and you get to see extra videos, etc. And also you can make donations, which are all in the video description. My book is still on sale worldwide on Amazon. You can find the links in the description. Thank you so much. So now we talk about the Lady in White. Among the castle's spectres is one of the most mysterious. This Lady in White. Her story centers on a portrait in the Great Hall. A lot of this has actually to do with the Great Hall, in fact, depicting an unknown woman whose name has been lost to time. According to local lore, on moonlight nights she steps out from the painting and drifts silently through the corridors and gardens. She's seen gliding across the lawns or down candlelit halls, her expression full of sorrow, vanishing before the eyes of stunned witnesses. No one knows who she was, perhaps a Talbot bride, a forgotten lover, or a symbol of all the women whose stories were erased from history. Nobody knows. Her haunting feels less like fear and more of a remembrance, a quiet defiance against being forgotten. And then we get on to the Cromwellian ghost, Miles Corbett. This one is quite strange. His portrait is actually in the castle and he looks a bit weird. There's a couple of stories about this as well. It's like where history and haunting collides. Because this man who briefly took Malahide from the Talbots, he was an English parliamentary. He signed the death warrant of King Charles I and was granted this estate during the Cromwell conquest in 1649. Now, he was one of 59, I believe. It wasn't just the only one, and they call it regicide when the killing of a king. So when the monarchy was restored in 1660, so he only had it for 2 years, I think, or a couple of years, the castle was returned to the Talbots. So this was the only time in its 800-year history that the castle was out of the hands of the Talbots, briefly as it was. When this happened, Corbett fled the castle. He was captured 2 years later and executed in England. He was captured in the Netherlands, I believe, on the 19th of April 1662. He was hanged, drawn, and quartered for his part in the king's death. So some say Corbett's restless spirit returned to Malahide, and they say on April 19th he can be seen riding in full armour across the lawn towards the castle. Witnesses have claimed also to have seen him in his armoured form appear and before collapsing into 4 ghostly fragments, a grotesque replay of his execution. His ghost is said to bring an icy chill and an eerie silence whenever he appears, a grim echo of one of Ireland's darkest chapters. Now, in fairness, I will say this, I didn't really feel any sort of presence except only in the dark room, the black room, the oldest part of the castle. In fact, I was drawn to the right-hand corner if you're looking from the window side. There was a kind of a misty vibe in there. It was a very weird, strange room. The rest of the castle, I didn't feel much. Maybe up in the bedroom areas, it was a bit strange up there, because obviously you have the ornaments and you have some of the details from the past. A lot of this stuff was returned because it was sold off. This castle was actually sold back to the Republic of Ireland in 1975 because the last Talbot didn't have the money to upkeep it, and they had to give a lot of money to the Irish government. The only time that I agree with the inheritance tax is for this case, and maybe for all the other cases if this includes any of the Norman conquests. So to be honest with you, I understand that the Talbots are very much Irish this day, but I'm sorry, I believe they were colonialists the whole way through. They had this vast estate. It was only just kept in one family. It was taken from Gaelic lords. It was taken from the Irish, and in one way, I do like the fact that it was given back to the Irish. From Puck, the heartbroken Jester, to Maud Plunkett, the vengeful bride, from the silent white lady to the tortured ghost of Miles Corbett, the spirits of Malahide Castle are more than ghost stories. They're reflections of century of love, lost, and power that shaped this island's history. The Talbots' reign ended in 1975, when the last heir, Rose Talbot, sold the estate to the Irish state. Yet their legacy lingers in the portraits, the halls, and perhaps in the unseen presences that still walk here. The hauntings of Malahide Castle feel like its conscience, a reminder that in Ireland the past never truly leaves us. So what do you think? Are these ghosts just echoes of a tragic history? Or is there something darker still at play within Malahide Castle? Let me know below. And if you enjoyed this journey into Ireland's haunted heritage, don't forget to like and subscribe and share with someone you might think may enjoy it. Make sure you're leaving a comment as well, because I will actually reply to everyone as best I can. Subscribe for more stories from Ireland's shadowed past, for Irish history, mythology and folklore. Thank you so much for watching. Gora Mila Maha Gwiv Galer Macarja, Be Medi Kaint, Slán go fóill.